Hi, I'm Dr. Kevin Taylor, and over the last 4 years, I've had the privilege of walking with our teachers here at Front Range Christian School to help them teach Christianly, to teach in ways that honor God and lead to greater discipleship in the life of their students. Before this year started, this crazy year, I was thinking, what would it be that we'd need to practice in order to be able to do these things? And three things came to my mind: presence, Sabbath, and perspective. I'm pleased to introduce to you today a behind-the-scenes look at teachers talking to one another about what it means to be these things and focus on these areas in the lives of their classes and then their students. I hope you can see their hearts. I hope you can see their thoughts that goes into everything that they do in the classrooms. And I hope you're blessed to see how they know and love your students. And on behalf of myself and on behalf of the rest of the faculty, I just want to thank you and let you know that we appreciate you, we love you, and we're so glad that you're a part of our community.
I'm Jill Hart, and I'm the second grade teacher at the elementary school. I have been at Front Range for 19 years now. I began teaching when the school first began in 1994, and I taught for 6 years, kindergarten, third grade for a couple of years, and then stayed home with my own kids for a few, and came back when my youngest was in kindergarten here at Front Range, and I've been here since then. He will be graduating this year, so long time. Presence means intentionally being with the person you're with, trying to focus on what they're saying, trying to not think about your response beforehand while they're talking, but just really understand who they are and what's happening in their life at this moment. Well, I actually think that VeggieTales says it best, that God made you special and He loves you very much. So I would have to say, from my mindset, I try to look at every student in my class uniquely, that God made them special, He loves them very much, and even more important than that, maybe for me as I'm communicating with them, is that God has a unique, wonderful plan and purpose for their life. And I feel like my job, one of the most important things that I get to do is to speak into that plan and that purpose that God has for every kid. I can't do it unless I truly know the students. I can't do it unless I listen and hear their heartbeat and understand who they are and what they're thinking. I can't do it if I'm thinking about something else. I guess the point is, I need to be present with all of my students so that I can know them and see their giftings, see their strengths, their areas of struggle, and then I can come alongside and support them as best I can. And I can't do that if I don't know them. Just kind of basic things, like looking them in the eye when they talk to me. The thing about elementary kids is they have stories upon stories upon stories that they want to tell and share. And I think the hardest thing for elementary school teachers is trying to accomplish our curriculum tasks and still valuing and listening to the students. So one thing I try to do with kids when they just want to tell me something, they're so excited, I try to look them in the eye and say, hey, I know I really want to hear what you have to say, but can we do this at this time? Or let's talk about a good time when we can talk about this. Tell me at lunchtime. Or I actually have arranged times throughout my week where it's just a time for them to get to share, so that I'm valuing and listening to what they have to say. So that's one thing, and a challenge all at the same time. Another thing that I do, which actually adds a little bit of time to my day, is I really try not to grade papers when there are kids in the classroom. which is hard to do because, they just pile up like crazy. But I try to set that aside so that when my students are in my classroom, I'm not trying to do 3 things at one time. I'm just trying to be with my students. And I don't do that perfectly, but that's something that I do try to be intentional about doing. Another thing that I like to do is in the morning when I'm getting ready for my day, I just take time and pray for every single one of my students as the day begins. Sometimes I do it on the way to school. I don't have little children to take care of in the morning anymore, so this is something that I've done when my kids have gotten older, but just try to go through every kid in my class specifically and pray for them uniquely. And during that time, I can usually tell if I'm missing a child. Like if there's a real quiet, reserved kid that I really haven't taken as much time as I should to just really see who they are and what they're going through. And then I learned this great little tool. I have to tell you, it was from a Love and Logic conference that I went to. But if you don't know what to say to a kid, just use I notice statements. I noticed you've got a blue backpack. I noticed you've got Minecraft on your t-shirt. I noticed any little I noticed statement. And it's just showing value to the kid. It's not an emotional thing. It's not extra gushy or fake. It's just an I noticed statement. So that's something that I've incorporated in the last couple years. And it's amazing to see a kid just like, you noticed. I mean, and it's nothing huge. I try to do that as they walk in the door. That's another thing that I try to do is meet them at the door every day and look them in the eye and greet them personally one at a time. I feel like laughter in the classroom just brings a whole sense of warmth and belonging. And I don't mean like, of course, laughing at a child. I mean, laughing at things that are funny together, that we have this sense of camaraderie and togetherness. And so I think laughter is huge. It provides, if a child is stressed out, and this is just brain chemistry stuff, if a kid is stressed out, their emotions are just firing like crazy. And what we need to do to help them get into a more better learning environment is to kick them out of that fight or flight mode and get them into a place where they can learn better. And so the best way to do that is laughter. And the last thing that I try to do with my kids to try to be present with them is be quick to apologize. I make a lot of mistakes, and I don't ever want a kid to feel unjustly accused, or when I make a mistake, I want to be willing to say I'm sorry. And I think that's one of the practices that I find extremely important. Take one little thing like the I notice statements, or looking every kid in the eye and intentionally connecting with them as they walk in the door, and just choose one thing to do for a week and then see how that goes. And then the next week, maybe choose one more thing and go from there. Why were you called to this job in the first place? We can get lost in demands and papers to grade and curriculum to cover, and but I think when it's all said and done, all of us have this yearning and a desire to make a difference in kids' life. And no matter what our subject area is or what grade or age we teach, all the way from preschool all the way up to high school, that's our passion. And I think that maybe going back to that is what will help us make sure that we're present